Good morning, everyone. It's a long way. Sorry for letting you wait. And it's a great audience. Thank you very much for having me here and hosting this great conference. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be invited and to give you some thoughts of what is ongoing in Germany and in Europe. So, Mr. Holziter, Mr. Almit, Mr. Rockan, and ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I'm really delighted to begin my political new year with a visit to Norway. For me, it is a symbol and a continuity. A symbol because Norway has become the most important supplier of energy for Germany and will be in the future. For the ongoing times, it's natural gas. For the future, it will be hydrogen. And it is a continuity because we continue the work we began in Oslo in March last year. So it's a working visit, actually a visit among friends. And I hope you say the same of me and of Germany. It was just a few weeks after Putin when I visited Oslo in March last year, a few weeks after Putin attacked the Ukraine and started his brutal war. And we had to move closer together in Europe. That was clear in March, but it was not clear that we achieve it, but we did. Ladies and gentlemen, the year that passed was anything but easy for the international community, and particularly not for the continent of Europe. Not for your country, not for Norway, suffering from high electricity prices and an important inflation. Not for Germany, challenged with the threat of an economic meltdown. And it was nothing less that was at stake at that time, which doubtlessly, an economic meltdown in Germany would have led to an economic apocalypse in Europe. But as challenging as these threats were, and still are, for people and companies, let's not forget where the real suffering is taking place and who has caused it. What we are going through is nothing compared to the situation in Ukraine. Death, torture and rape, the deconstruction of homeland, of hundreds of thousands of people, cold and hunger. People are dying the minute we're gathering here. That is the Ukraine reality since February. The suffering that the Russian attack has brought to this country at the heart of Europe for nearly a year now is still beyond belief. And the cause of all this crime has a name: Vladimir Putin. His war has become a war now also against his own people. The young Russian soldiers that are dying had other plans, definitely other plans for their lives. The families losing fathers, sons, and brothers of 2000s. I think I say it on the behalf of all of us, of Norway, of Germany, of Europe, when I say Putin must not succeed. And Putin will not succeed. We will not stop to deliver weapons to the Ukraine, and also with regard to the French decision to deliver wheel-based light battle tanks taken yesterday, and also to the willingness of the US doing something of the same, we will always adjust our deliveries to the need of the battlefield. For Germany, I can say we were too certain, after centuries of wars, after decades of the Cold War, that violence and imperialism had been cast aside as a means of politics forever, at least in Europe. We were too certain. That was naive. Some political decisions in the past years had been wrong. I would say had been a mistake. Especially the dependency of Russian gas, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. And from now on, looking back, it is not understandable how these decisions could be taken, because in 2020 and 2015, Putin started his first war on Ukraine, occupying Crimea. and the Donbas region. And 1 year later, 2015, the decision to build Nord Stream 2 had been taken. So this is not understandable, and it was wrong from the start. But we learned it the hard way last year. Democracy, peace, and freedom aren't things that can be won once and for all. Rather, defending these achievements in our own society and in the world is an ongoing, never-ending task. But we achieved something last year. Ukraine is fighting still with great bravery on the battlefield, and the economic meltdown hasn't happened and will not. The energy situation in Germany is stable now. The prices are decreasing. Even the inflation is milder than expected. Our gas storages are well above 90% in the mid of January right now, over 19%. And the last call I did before Christmas vacation was to some of the gas companies for suggesting to buy gas if the gas price would go down to 100 euros. It was 130 at that time, but being careful not to push it up again, and they did, and the prices are now circling above 70 euros. So you see, we have achieved something by political action. The first floating LNG terminals in Germany has come to stream already in December. 2 others are going to follow in the next days. I'm saying that because without Norway, without the increased gas supplies from your country, without 2 FSRU ships from a Norwegian shipping line, none of this would have been possible. Norway has played a major part in Germany's success in freeing itself from dependence on Russian energy imports so quickly. I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you for this. Mange tak. Sure, this is actually your applause, but of course you're welcome to applaud yourself. But I also applaud you. So, sure, as this is a success story, of course we have to be careful. And this does not give us absolute security and safety that nothing will happen in the future. But this is the lesson learned. Absolute safety and security we will never get again. This is what your title is about, URO. It shows us, the last year, that we can act and we can fight back and we can have some courage out of that and we can do it successfully. It does not show us that all the problems are solved and we are moving in a step where no crisis of the future ever will happen. This is maybe the biggest misthought of the past, that we are living in a stable time where nothing ever will happen. The lesson learned is that maybe living in the times of crisis, that is the new normal. But the new normal means also we can adapt to that. We can act. We have sometimes forgotten how strong democracies and decisions and politicians can be. And this is what we learned from my perspective in the last year. So Europe has more than proved its worth last year. We have fended off Putin's attempts to play us off against one another and to divide us. And looking beyond the needs of the day, this can give us the courage that we can also provide answers to the second, I would say the structural threat of our time, the climate crisis. With the massive changes in our societies it will bring and the little time we still have to tackle it. URO. The title you have given this year's conference expresses very well what is at stake. URO, if you listen to the word, is ambiguous. URO is what we are experiencing, a time of great changes. And in restless times, people seek to rest, continuity, security. That is only deeply human. There's fear, there's debate, there's the feeling that maybe change is coming too fast and too much of it, because change means to lose something, but also the chance to create something new. URO is also productive. A standstill is not what leads us to a good future. We will not make the future by the means of the past. This is what brings me to Norway and to this conference, and this is what this conference is or should be about. A certain degree of restlessness holds opportunities, particularly for the crucial process towards a climate-neutral economy and way of life. So let's make sure that we are having the right economic debate. It has to be one about development, change, speed of change, the right rules to the market, the supply with renewable energy. It has not to be about preserving the status quo. This is what the concurrence with China and the US is all about. The German industrial plan is about semiconductors, chips, technology, hydrogen, electrolysers, windmills, batteries, solar panels, and so on. None of which we have on a greater scale of production in Germany right now. But the plan is that we will have in the future. And I guess the same counts also for Norway. Our industrial strategy is about building up, gaining the future, and the future added value. And it is about transforming the steel, cement, glass, paper, chemical industry in a green and climate neutral one. Therefore, we are creating new instruments, state aid instruments, carbon contracts for differences, for example. And therefore, we need hydrogen, huge amounts of hydrogen, decarbonized hydrogen. We are going to make restlessness productive for a better future. And maybe I am allowed to say some words in the same direction to Norway. I mean, it's your country. I don't want to lecture you, but of course, it's a Norwegian conference. And as I explained what we are heading to in Germany, maybe some remarks on the Norwegian situation with all modesty. Your country is now the largest supplier of gas to Europe, and Germany is the largest client. Norway's prosperity is rooted not least in the export of fossil oil and gas. And we had to spend a lot of time last year working on the supply of fossil energy to Europe. But that should not lead us astray. This is not the future. The days of fossil fuels, of oil and gas, are coming to an end. Climate neutrality is demanding something new. New technologies, new supplies, energy savings, hydrogen, CCU and CCS. Also last year, my first visit to Oslo was not only focused on the gas supply, but on the decarbonization of energy supply. Since then, we have made big progress on the green transition of Germany's energy sector. The same goes for the EU. I just dropped the names: Fit for 55, Repower EU, Green Deal, CBAM. Housing, cars, aviation, almost everything is now under climate regulation. We are getting out of fossil fuels and moving to a more and more renewable energy, solar, wind, hydrogen, as quickly as possible, coupled with a clear increase in energy efficiency and the ramp up of hydrogen. So I'm here to discuss and encourage investments in low-emission production processes and to boost energy efficiency to bring our partnership to the next level. Together, we will now show that there is no contradiction between maintaining our prosperity and protecting our environment, between climate action and economic affairs. And maybe you know, and maybe I was announced like this, we in Germany, we pushed both together in one ministry. I'm the Minister for Climate Action and Economic Affairs. There is no contradiction, and there should not be one. Rather, they are mutually dependent. Norway and Germany have been working together since last year to ensure that blue hydrogen can flow by a pipeline from Norway to Germany from 2030 at the latest. And today, two companies, RWE from the German side and Equinor, signed an MOU that they were willing to provide this pipeline if built or if ready, with the offtake and the import of hydrogen. So this was done in the past months, and if we continue with the speed, then we will do the next, I would guess, incredible steps in the next months to come. This blue hydrogen is to be gradually added up and maybe later on replaced by green hydrogen produced by offshore wind farms. These wind farms also a form of collaboration between Norwegian and German companies. Norwegian companies are more than welcome to invest in Germany's new energy infrastructure, hydrogen power plants and wind farms. We, the German side, we offer technologies and mechanical engineering and a new market for CCS, particularly in the lime and cement industry. So we will also need technologies to capture, transport and use and store CO2. We are no longer in a situation we can pick and choose. Putting CO2 under the ground is quite simply better than releasing it into the atmosphere. For this reason, Germany is now working on a carbon management strategy in order to create the legislation for the use of such technologies in this year, by mid of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, and also this was not done during my last visit, we learned our lesson. We are not in a situation where we have so much time that we can wait until new technologies are adopted. We have to do climate action right now. And we have learned from Norway. From my side, I can say this at least. Ladies and gentlemen, as we aim to realize all these projects, we will need the potential of our companies in so many different fields and your expertise as specialists. If we are to successfully transform our energy sector and our industry, we need the creativity and innovative skills of you, the business community. Therefore, let us work together on this both this year and in future years. I'm looking forward to that. Mange tak.